Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And I got to start with this. In that previous video, I talked about the 1250x multiplier for XRP and market cap. Well, if that $8 billion of inflow happens through the XRP ETFs with a multiplier of 1250x, it puts the price of XRP at $176.23. That's how quick the price of XRP can change. And that's why market cap doesn't matter. You know, everybody's still stuck in the previous cycles. You got to start looking into the future now. Utility is going to change the 4-year cycle. Everybody expects these cycles to continue for all of eternity. That's just not going to happen. Utility is going to be the game changer. You know, everybody right now is calling XRP a scam. And I think it's coming from the Bitcoin maxis because they're so afraid of XRP. Well, 589 put together a great thread. XRP is a scam. Ripple execs just dump on retail. That's the genius take I see every day. Let's walk through how mind-numbing dumb that is. If XRP were a scam, why didn't they just rug it in 2017 when it hit $3.84? No SEC case, no scrutiny, no lawsuits, just cash out and disappear. Instead, Ripple kept building for years while XRP stayed under $1. And you know, the crypto space was so different back then. Ripple could have just folded up and walked away with all the money, but they didn't. Ripple could have walked away with billions, but instead they fought the SEC for 4+ years, spent $200 million plus in legal fees, built ODL corridors, expanded into 6 continents, applied for a U.S. bank charter. Yeah, totally sounds like a rug. You know, for the last 4 years, I've watched Ripple grow out and expand at a very alarming rate. The only other crypto company I seen do that was Hedera. And the growth around Ripple and Hedera today still continues. Stellar is like a quiet builder, putting all the rails in place, banking the unbanked. Then you look at Q&T. A lot of things are starting to happen there now as well. Same thing with XDC. Algo has a great ecosystem. They probably one of the best ecosystems in all of crypto. IOTA is now coming together as well. Everything that we ever thought was going to happen is starting to happen in real time. And if Ripple was a scam and XRP was going to rug pull, it would have happened a long time ago. But execs do sell. Elon sells Tesla. Zuck sells Meta. Chris Larson sells XRP. Founders always take profits. That doesn't make it a scam. It makes it real life. And even when Chris Larson sells XRP, the price drops maybe 3 or 4 cents. And that 3 or 4 cents is made up very fast. Because when there's somebody selling XRP, there's always a buyer waiting to buy up that XRP. So here's what Ripple didn't do. They didn't vanish. They didn't shut down. They didn't run off with investor money. They didn't abandon their product. They didn't delete their website and socials. You know, actual rug behavior. And then he goes on to talk about how the XRP ledger is decentralized. But I could tell you this right now. XRP is one of the most solid cryptocurrencies in this space. Just look at utility-driven cryptocurrencies. The reason that they're always called scams is because the people that are saying this is a scam, that is a scam, they're worried because these are the cryptocurrencies that are going to take over this space through utility and use case. Stablecoin, it's basically a digital dollar. They're starting to call the digital dollar now. They're starting to say the word digital dollar on mainstream media news now. That's how you know the digital dollar is coming in 2025. And take a listen to Bo Hines here. He doesn't talk at all about Bitcoin.
Bo, so you've got some breaking news for us this morning. Tell us what the plan is.
Yeah, well, look, first and foremost, I just want to thank President Trump and our brilliant AI and crypto czar, David Sachs, for all the hard work that they've put in to this report and really just doing what they can to help this industry. You know, this is an industry that's been beaten down and kicked down over the course of the last decade and a half, more specifically under the Biden regime. All the blue tape that they had to fight through, the headwinds that they were pushing through just to innovate here in the United States is quite remarkable. And, you know, the president created this working group on digital assets in which I'm the executive director, and he tasked us with working across relevant agencies to produce a list of comprehensive regulations and reforms and recommendations that would create a clean and robust framework so industry knows what the rules of the road are. You know, this is no longer policy making through prosecution. We're creating an environment that will allow for these innovators to thrive and build here in the United States.
So can you give us more specifics about what this is going to look like and what these recommendations are?
Sure. So, you know, we've looked at this in really three phases. We've had the demolition phase, removing a lot of the blue tape that existed, eradicating Operation Choke Point 2.0, which was a real thing under the Biden regime. What this was, basically, for your viewers, was an attempt to prevent digital asset firms from interacting with traditional financial institutional players. And so what we've done is we've removed a lot of that blue tape that existed there, those overburdensome regulations. Then we work on construction, which construction here is a stable coin framework, which we've actually had signed into law in this past week with the Genius Act. You know, this is basically a digital dollar. It updates the archaic payment rails within our system. It creates more expeditious and transparent, more cost-effective transactions for the American people. And it also secures U.S. dollar global dominance for decades to come. But the other piece of legislation that we still have to work on is market structure. And we have clarity coming out of the House. You know, both of these bills received immense bipartisan support. So what you'll see in this report is we talk about the bones of market structure, everything that they got right in clarity, what we'd like to see the Senate chamber do and adopt as they push this second piece forward on the legislative agenda. Then we look at implementation. We're talking about tax reforms in this report. We're talking about how we protect consumers in this report. You know, this is over a 160-page document. It's quite robust, but, you know, we're really excited about it. And I just want to thank all the participants of the working group that contributed to this. Paul Atkins over at the SEC, Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick, so many folks that have done so much to propel this industry forward and make sure that the United States is the leader in digital asset financial technology.
Take notice it's not Bitcoin only anymore. Even the White House report was more about cross-border payments and strengthening the U.S. dollar. The shift is already happening, and that's why you're going to start to see all these institutions shift away from Bitcoin as well. Remember, Harvard revealed that the roadmap to the digital dollar involves XRP and Xlm. This comes from smoke. The reason that Harvard looked at this, because they knew that the digital dollar is still going to need a bridge currency. It's still going to need something to move it around the world. And that's where XRP and XLM come in. But you're going to see it happen through digital trade with XDC. HBAR is going to play a role. Algo is going to play a role. IOTA is going to move all the machine money. QNT is going to be holding it all together. You could see the new financial system already coming. Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin surpasses $600 million market cap. It seems like they're adding $1 million to the market cap of RLUSD every single week now. And I like the fact that that momentum continues to build. Johnny Deaton says, we may be in a bull market. Chad Steingraber says, no one has seen an institutional-led crypto bull run before because it's never happened yet. Not yet. You know, this is going to be the first time that we see institutional money enter the crypto space. And as that happens, that's going to be the biggest shocker in this space. All of a sudden, people will no longer be talking about Bitcoin because the institutional money, they're looking for real value. They're not buying hype. They're not buying speculation. They want to own something that they could actually utilize inside their own business model. But that's not going to happen until regulations are in place first. And I'm expecting everything to be wrapped up most likely with regulations sometime in October. And that will coincide with alt season. Why do you think so many people hate XRP so much? I want to know your opinions. Honestly, I think people hate XRP because they see what it's becoming now. Bitcoin maxis absolutely hate it because it's built to do everything that Bitcoin couldn't do. Bitcoin's too slow and it's too expensive, where XRP is fast and cheap. But then the XRP holders, some of them also hate XRP because it tends to go sideways for long periods of time. And it's a very frustrating cryptocurrency to hold. But if you hold it long enough, all of a sudden, the excitement comes for XRP and XRP holders. Because all of a sudden, your portfolio, the gains are absolutely incredible. And most people are going to experience that over the coming months if they don't sell too soon. He co-created the XRP ledger. He holds 2% of all XRP. He's never been seen in public. Arthur Britto might be the most important figure in crypto you've never heard of. And they do a whole deep dive into it. Some people think that Arthur Britto and David Schwartz are the same person. I don't agree with that. Other people think that Arthur Britto is Satoshi. That could be a possibility. I think he's one of the 4 Satoshis. I think David Schwartz is another one. But the reason that everybody's so focused on him right now is Arthur Britto is the same guy that said XRP is built to be a $10,000 cryptocurrency. And after all these years, he came back just a few weeks ago at a specific time. And I think it's because we are about to transition from the current financial system into the new financial system. And then there's this from Jacob King. Someone tore Switzerland's Satoshi Bitcoin statue from its base and tossed it into the lake. You know, those Satoshi statues, in my opinion, I think they're stupid. I think they build way too much hype around them, and I think they're dumb because nobody knows who Satoshi is. We all have a great idea of who Satoshi is because we're XRP holders. But they do this, and then they get all these headlines around this. And what it is they want to continue to hype up Bitcoin at the same time. The shift is absolutely coming. You could see it. You see how XRP is easily going to flip Ethereum. There's a very good chance that in this run, XRP becomes the #1 cryptocurrency by market cap. When that happens, everything in crypto is going to change going forward. That's going to be the moment the belief system in Bitcoin dies. And all the money is going to start to shift in this space. Bitcoin's not going to zero. And I say that again, and I stress that, because there's a lot of people thinking that it's just going to die. It's not going to die. It's going to become irrelevant. That's 2 different things. And once it drops from the #1 spot, eventually it'll continue dropping down until it's no longer even in the top 10. Because the top 10 is going to be dominated by utility-driven cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies that have a real-world use case. And you could already see that time is coming. But until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.